everybody. Okay, thank you, Pau, for the introduction. Okay, so I'm Jackie from ACU. So I'm just gonna make the presentation, straightforward. And if you guys have any questions, you can leave them in the chat box or just unmute, maybe. Okay, cool. Yeah, so let's start. So brief history about ACU. Given by the name, I know some students may be curious about why it's called Australian Catholic University. Okay, so basically just around the mid 1800s, the Catholic order, basically emerged ACU to produce teachers and nurses. And up until 1991, they decided to, start offering classes to people and eventually became a university. Okay, so it's not really sectarian. So you don't really have to be, Catholic nor in any way religious in that sense for you to get in. So it is a public university. So everybody is accepted. Okay, and there are no protocols to follow. Like in the Philippines, I understand that if you're a Catholic school, there are some practices that everybody needs to participate in. But for AC, it's not. So treat it as a usual university and public school in Australia. Okay, cool. So let's start up. Okay, in terms of rankings, okay, so everything is right here, but something I want to highlight is that we are top 3 and top 4 in Australia for annual salaries for international students in undergrad and postgrad students. And that's always important because I know that's one of the priorities of the Filipino market, right? Getting employed, having good opportunities maybe in the future, right? And of course, we're also 5-star in learning engagement, skills development, and of course, starting salary for our students. So that's great. And of course, top 1 Catholic University in Australia and part of the top 100 young universities worldwide. Okay, so very proud of that. And of course, we also have our top subjects, but I'm going to go into detail on each of them later. Okay, but of course, the usual ones: education, nursing, sports science, psychology, arts, and theology, all of that. Okay, so here. So let's talk about our campuses. So one of the most important thing about ACU is the accessibility and the chance for students to get to choose which campus they want to study in. And of course, it's also convenient for a lot of international students who have relatives on shore. So at least most of the time, if they're around these areas, at least it'd be near for them to probably commute or just take a ride to school. Okay. Yeah. So highlighting, of course, the bigger campuses. Okay. North Sydney, Melbourne, and Brisbane. And we also have regional campuses in Canberra, Strathfield and Blacktown in New South Wales, okay, and Ballarat in Victoria. Okay, and we also have a campus in Rome, but that one isn't really open for like recruitment for international students. But our students do have the opportunity to take a semester there if ever a program is open up for our semester in Rome. Yeah, so cool. So let's start on. So for specifics, I'm just gonna be showing you guys some photos of the campuses and also for you guys to at least remember, because I know there are a lot of campuses to memorize. Okay, but this one is in Melbourne. It's the biggest in terms of student population. Okay, so it's a great opportunity if ever students would want to get a feel around the life of a university student, right? And it's a great area. Okay, so we're around pubs, cafes, all of that. So in the city, of course. So if they plan to, go around as well, this is a great place to be. Okay. And of course, most of the courses are also offered in Melbourne. So something to keep in mind when you're sending out students is that not all courses will be available in each campus. Usually the bigger ones are the ones that would offer most, and then the regional area ones would offer, specific courses that are probably more in demand, I would say. Okay. Yeah. So here, Ballarat. So this one is only an hour and a half away from Melbourne. Okay, so at least it's a good option as well for students who want to stay at the regional area, because I know that, is something that students consider as well as the cost of living, right? So Ballarat would be a good option for them. So these are the ones here. Okay, so North Sydney, almost the same as Ballarat. Okay, also one of our biggest campuses. Okay, so great option as well for them to consider if ever they want a more fuller university experience. Okay, and here Blacktown. So this one is, I think, only like a half away from Sydney. Okay, so at least they're not too far off from the city if ever they want to, go around, of course, being new to the country. Okay, so Blacktown is quite funny because people a lot of say that this is the Filipino hub in Australia because of the Filipino population, not just in the Blacktown campus, but Blacktown in general. So actually, there are even Filipino stores around it. So if ever students are feeling homesick, right, they could just walk around and find some Filipino stores and cafes in there. Okay, Strathfield. Okay, so just a fact here, Strathfield is the only campus that does not offer nursing. Okay, so everywhere else offers nursing except Strathfield. Okay, and I forgot to mention in North Sydney is the only campus that offers IT. Okay, so any student you want who wants to consider taking IT, their only option will be in North Sydney. So we want to centralize everybody there, okay, because of faculty and also like professional placement reasons. Okay, cool. So Strathfield, this is our campus that offers social work. Okay, so a lot of our students coming into social work go to this campus. Okay, and also something to remember, all fees are the same across all campuses, because sometimes some students think that some campuses might have different, fee offerings, but all the same. Okay, so all monitored by the same management. Okay. Cool. So here, Brisbane. Okay, so this is one of my favorite campuses in terms of aesthetic, I would say. Okay, so Brisbane is also our biggest in terms of land size. Okay, so this great history behind the campus. It was gifted to us by the Aboriginal people. So great. And actually, the picture does not do it justice. It's actually a lot bigger as well when you're there. So it stretches all the way back. It has its own health center, you know, um, sports areas as well, all in here. And parking is free actually in this campus. So great. Okay. And then last one for Australia is our Canberra campus. So it's one of our smaller campuses. Okay. It doesn't offer a lot, but it does offer nursing and some teaching programs. So that's something students can consider, because usually students who opt to go to Canberra probably have relatives there, right? So this is something that they can think about. Okay, so last, of course, is our Rome campus. Okay, so here, as mentioned again, not really open for like actual classes, but students do have the opportunity to visit the Rome campus. Okay, cool. So let's talk about ACU. So I'm not gonna go into detail about all of this. Okay, yeah, but just basically the statistics, and of course part of our top 10 countries of international students. One of them is the Philippines. Okay, so everything is in here just in case a student is curious about how many international students would actually go to ACU. And of course, looking at international enrollment, New South Wales and Victoria is always the biggest in terms of enrollments. Okay, and 1 out of 6 are actually international students. So at least that's a good mix. Okay, so they get to experience being an international student with that population, right? Okay, cool. So here, let's probably not look at that one. Okay, global networks. I'll go into detail about them as well. We'll also talk about professional placements and all of that later on. Okay. Okay, so our research rankings. Okay, wait, can you just give me a moment? I have to like fix something in the computer. Okay, wait.
No worries, Jackie. So for all our attendees, if you have any clarifications or even questions, just let us know. If you're shy, just type it on the chat box, or maybe later after the question and answer, you can just unmute your mic and we'll have a meaningful discussion.
Okay, love that. Thank you for the commercial. Okay, so research rankings. So we are very proud of this one. If you could look at the left side, okay, we are top one in Australia and 15th worldwide in terms of scientific impact across all disciplines. Okay, yeah, I know Philippines might not be the biggest in the research market. Okay, but at least this is something nice to pitch in, mainly for students who, who really consider rankings and the quality of education here. And I do know that a lot of parents as well would consider this one, mostly if they're really involved in the decision making of the universities that their kids are going to enroll in, right? So in here, so if you can see, our rankings are very high. Okay, top one in Australia again for research quality. Okay, and top one worldwide for research quality in psychology. So that's a very big deal. Okay, and then of course, top 12 worldwide for research quality in education. Okay, so impact is really great, decent work. Okay, good health and well-being, quality education, and gender equality, all ranked worldwide for our research centers. Okay, nice. Okay, why isn't it moving? Okay, yeah, so I'll put this here, and we're very proud of this one. We have great research institutes and centers in ACU. Okay, so this is all across all disciplines. Okay, and then I would say there are actually a lot of researchers and professionals coming from around the world to visit ACU and basically borrow our facilities. So it's a great thing. Okay, so this one's an example. So we have the best hub. It's called the Blacktown Exercise and Sports Technology Hub. Okay, so great in facilities. It's almost complete. Okay, so all in there that they can use into researches about rehabilitation, education, and basically everything in here. Okay, yeah. So here are some photos of the inside of the hub, okay, and the facilities that we do offer. So it's great. It's actually really beautiful when I visited there myself. Okay, it's, yeah, I would say an interesting place to visit. Okay, cool. So here as well, another overview of it. So you could see here some of the facilities that we have. We have an environmental chamber, okay, and then we also have aquatic recovery pools, sports fields, and strength and conditioning suites, and multiple sporting facilities. Okay, so a lot of this is used for research purposes. Okay, yeah. And of course, going back into, mainly our market in the Philippines, let's talk about the disciplines and then the programs that we offer at ACU. So this is a overview of all of it. Okay, something easy to remember. Okay, and then something I usually always tell agents that would be easy for them to remember. ACU does not offer engineering and architecture. Okay, so that's it. So any engineering and architecture students, unless they're looking into other fields, okay, we cannot offer them, engineering and architecture. And also for sciences, okay, all of our sciences are in human health sciences. So anything that's not within human health is not offered with us. Okay, yeah, so that's something to remember. Okay, so let's start here. So of course, no brainer. A lot of our applications as well from you guys, okay, come from nursing. It's not really a surprise because 50%, almost 50% of our applications from Philippines offshore make up nursing. Okay, so this is our biggest program and of course our priority in the market, I would say. Okay, so ACU nursing ranked fourth in Australia and ranked 10th in the world. Okay, and I will also be mentioning it later, but we do have scholarships for 2026 that's already been launched, and nursing will be a part of it. Okay, so our nursing students will have the opportunity to get, that scholarship. Okay, and of course, psychology, it's also pretty popular, mainly when we do fairs and all of that. We do get a lot of students interested in psychology. Both undergrad and postgraduate is offered at ACU. Okay, so ranked fifth in Australia and ranked 150th in the world, something they can consider as well. Okay, and something to remember about ACU is that we accept direct entry for grade 12 students. Okay, so all they need to do is to get the 85% overall average upon graduation, and that's already their key to go into direct entry. And of course, their IELTS score or PTE, okay, English test score. Okay, if they don't meet those, then that's the only time they would have to consider a foundation, okay, or the PPP, or whichever pathway that they would need to get into a bachelor's. Okay, yeah. And then, of course, sports science. Okay, so fourth in Australia, 22nd in the world. Okay, so when I talk to a lot of students and mainly parents, we always have to remind them that this is a science course. Because I know some of the parents might be a little iffy, thinking that it's just not just the thing of it, right? Okay, cool. So these are a list of the popular health programs that we get from the Philippines. Okay, so Bachelor of Nursing, Bachelor of Psychological Science, and Biomedical Science. So those are basically the top bachelor courses that we get applications from offshore. And for masters, of course, social work, public health is always a part of it. Okay, because public health is very general, so a lot of students coming from the health discipline can consider this one, right? Okay, so I also placed the fees because just recently our fees did go up a bit. Okay, so the changes. So here's just a list of it. So as much as possible, we still try to aim to make it affordable for plenty students in comparison to other institutions. Okay, but don't worry, scholarships will be available. Okay, and scholarships are all automatically assessed. Okay, so all they have to do is just send in a normal application and it will be up to admissions already to check their transcript of records, which is basically, the entire coverage of it because the scholarships will be merit based. Okay, okay, and then going on next. Hold on. Okay, you lost me a bit. Hold on. Okay, so next, these are our other health programs. Okay. I would say we don't get the most from interest in our market, but I'm still putting it out here. Okay, so nutrition science, physiotherapy, occupational therapy, and speech pathology. Mainly the three that I mentioned might not be the most popular, also because, of the fees. I know it's a bit higher, but we do get some interest. Okay, and also to keep in mind, a lot of our allied health courses do have quota. So, there are only a few slots basically for international students. So I suggest if they want to go for allied health, make sure that their documents are already complete. Okay, or maybe just make sure not to let the conditional offer sit out for too long if they really do plan on getting into allied health. Okay, so all in there. So exercise, sports science, dietetic practice, and leadership and management and healthcare. We offer those as well. Okay, teaching and education, also one of our biggest in terms of applications from Philippines offshore. So we rank second in Australia and 32nd in the world. Okay, yeah, so in here, these are our postgraduate teaching courses. Okay, early childhood, primary, secondary, okay, and educational leadership and education in general. Okay, so great thing about our teaching programs is these all leads to registration in Australia. Okay, and they don't have to take the Casper test or anything. All they have to do is just to write us an essay from our teacher selector statement that I'm sure you guys have a copy of. Okay, if not, yes, I sent it to Pal the other day, I think. Yeah, so it's just a few questions. It's not all that too intricate. Okay, so they're all just questions about the student, and what area they choose to specialize in, and basically what pushed them to become a teacher. Okay, so it's just an essay getting to know themselves, and this will be passed on to admissions and the faculty. Okay, so I would say in terms of admission processes, how you say that, teaching is the one that would take a little time. Okay, it won't take forever, but it will just go through faculty for approval after on. So yeah, so you can just expect to wait a little bit longer when having a teaching student. Okay, and a great alternative for teaching students is actually the Master of Education. Okay, because I know teaching requires a higher IELTS grade. Okay, so our speaking and listening do require a score of 8 in teaching. So I know that could be a little, high for some students. Okay, but there are options if they want to take a Master of Education as well. This one would have lower entry requirements for English. Okay, cool. And then here, undergrads, just all the same, we do have early childhood, primary, secondary, birth to five, and we also have special education. Okay, yeah, so something they can consider as well. So that's already the fees. All of our education and teaching programs all have the same fee. So it's around 35, 624. Okay, so that's it. Okay, next is IT. Okay, so this one is only offered in North Sydney. Okay, keep that in mind. Okay, and then we actually ranked first in 2023 for graduate employment, skills development, learner engagement, and teaching quality. Okay, so that's a great thing to consider. And what's great about it is I know we don't have different programs that would be different for cybersecurity, data science, and AI, and all of that. Okay, because they are all already embedded in the curriculum itself for Master of IT. Okay, so yeah, and there are also Microsoft certifications. We have great professional placements that I'll talk about later on. Okay, there, and we also have business and accounting. Yeah, so ranked first in Australia for graduate employment, and our accounting programs are all fully accredited. Okay, so that's important. Okay, oh, and I think I forgot to mention, of course, our nursing is also accredited, of course. Okay, so students will lead up to registration as a nurse. Okay, and also social work. They become social workers later on. Mainly, a lot of our programs are actually, if not all, programs are accredited with ACU. Okay, so they will be getting their ROI, the return of investment after graduation. Okay, so here are our IT and business programs. So I want to highlight we actually have new programs. Okay, so the highlighted ones are computer science and a vertical package degree, a Bachelor of Computer Science to Master of Data Science, where student is going to get a diploma in both bachelor's and master after completion, okay, of only 4 years. Okay, so this is something that they can consider because in the Philippines, our undergrad is 4 years, right? Some even five. Yeah, but at least with this vertical program, in just 4 years, they get a bachelor's and a master's. So it is a great investment for students to take, mostly if they want that, if they want to get that qualification straight away. Okay, yeah, and Bachelor of Business. So Bachelor of Business, it's basically just a revamp of our business courses. We just decided to put everything into Bachelor of Business, and they will be choosing, specific, how do you say that, specific majors and minors. Okay, and also keeping in mind here, one of our popular courses is Master of IT. It's actually because we accept anyone from any background. Okay, so whether they come from, something not related to IT, they can come to our Master of IT program. Yes, I have met a lot of our students who have enrolled in Master of IT. Okay, so this is a great program for them to consider, mainly if they're interested in pursuing the field of IT, because I know a lot of students as well who don't have like a Bachelor of IT background, but worked in the IT industry, you know? So yeah, something that they can consider. Okay, and of course, MBA is always popular. Yes, it's a general background course. Anyone can take an MBA. Okay, and also Master of Professional Accounting. Yes. Okay. So moving on. So let's talk about the Bachelor of Business, the new revamped course. Okay. So there are 8 majors. Okay, accounting, business administration, data analytics, HRM, finance management, and marketing. Okay. Oh, and also I forgot to mention our Bachelor of Accounting is also fully accredited, right? I think I mentioned that one. So, so yeah, they can practice what they studied after graduating. Okay, and these are a list of our minors. So we have more options in this one. So we also have AI, cybersecurity, economics, finance, okay, management and healthcare, information systems, and sustainability for business. Okay, so with this one, students can actually have fun. Okay, so for the majors, they choose one major or another major. Okay, that's something they can choose 2 majors or 1 major and 2 minors. Okay, so yeah, so that's something that they can consider. So again, a major plus 1 major or a major plus 2 minors is something that they can consider. Okay, yes, and next, okay, it's not moving. Okay, there. So this is our Bachelor of Computer Science and Master of Data Science. Okay, so I just placed it here. IELTS is 6. Okay, so it's not that high. So students are able to get the entry there. Okay, and we also accept PTE and all of that, TOEFL, but I know not a lot of students from our market uses TOEFL or the CAE. Okay, so in there. Okay, so of course, oh, it was written there equivalent of Australian year 12 with a minimum overall 70%. Okay, so if you could check it out, basically from our market, they would already get in. Okay, for direct entry. Okay, okay, and it's only offered in February. Okay, so if ever they choose to do this linear program, they have to go for the Feb intake. Okay, and of course, North Sydney. Okay, and then of course, also the Bachelor of Computer Science. Okay, it's basically the same layout. Okay, but of course, without the Master of Data Science. Okay, and also wanted to punch here. Great option for them because we have a ACU scholarship launch for the new computer science and the Bachelor Computer Science and Master Data Science program. So if students will enroll here for 2026 and also 2027, actually, the students will get a 20% scholarship. Okay, so yeah, I'll show it to you guys later on. It's in our website. Okay, and going on here, so I'll just show here we have the MBA. Okay, this one isn't new, but I'm just gonna show you guys the specialization that students can choose from. But honestly, in the Philippines, students usually just opt for the general management stream. Okay, we do have other specializations, okay, like finance and accounting, but for this one, it will only be offered in North Sydney. Same with IT and all of that. Okay. Yes, and we also have safety and environmental management. I did notice some sort of trend. Usually, if I'm speaking to an engineering student, this is something that they would consider since we don't have engineering, right? So they would take an MBA and choose that specialization. Okay, cool. So next one. Okay, so this is the last one. Okay, hopefully not boring you guys. Okay, so arts and humanities. So ranked 300 in the world. Okay, so we have a lot actually. Bachelor of Arts, Youth Work, Global Studies, Human Rights, Criminology and Criminal Justice, Law, and Theology and Visual Arts and Design. Okay, so something I want to highlight here is we have a Bachelor of Law graduate entry. So that means if a student already has any bachelor degree from here in the Philippines and they want to take a Bachelor of Law graduate entry, they can consider that one. Okay, yeah, so it's a 4-year course, and then later on they have approved admission to practice law in Victoria, New South Wales, and Queensland. Okay, so yeah, it will be a great thing for them to consider as well. So I wanted to show our majors in Bachelor of Arts because usually if we have a student coming in for a specific field in the arts and humanities, I would just pitch them the Bachelor of Arts. Okay, they can just choose a major here. So we have archaeology, business, drama. Okay, and we also have English, geography, history, languages. I'm not going to read all of that, but just pointing out, okay, political science and study of religions and visual arts. So this is something that they can choose from. And don't quote me on this, but if I remember during the first semester, if they plan to, switch up their major, they can still do so, just in case, they get good influences from their peers and then consider a different major, they can do that one. Okay. Next. Okay, so coming up here is the work integrated learning. So of course you hear this a lot in Australian universities, but students are not stuck in a classroom. Okay, so they're out here getting field experience, being able to network and being able to find their ground basically once they're ready for work. Okay, they already know who to approach, what to do, and what to expect in their industry. Okay, so here are some examples. Okay, so our Bachelor of Nursing, right? So we have accreditation that will lead them to registration. Okay, so our students complete over 800 hours. So they actually start placements from their first year all the way to their last year, which is third year. Okay, and we have many partners, private and public hospitals that they can actually choose from. Okay, and every semester there's a specific specialization that they will be, working on. So they'll be getting a lot of experience out from this one. Okay, and also to the next semester, teaching. So teaching, they all have different setups for their professional placements, but I'll use early childhood and primary as an example. So they complete 70 days of supervised professional placements. Okay, so this is great because since they register as a teacher later on, they're already having the feel of what it's like to teach in a classroom setting. Okay, there, and of course accreditation on the screen as well. Okay, Master of IT. So we have international recognition from Solaccord, and we are recognized by the Australian Computer Society. Okay, so this is good for them as well. So at least they would know that the course that they're studying is accredited. Okay, and they have that recognition upon graduation. So this is really interesting because they have a 10-week mentoring program with Cisco, and will undertake a real IT project with any of our partnered organizations. Okay, so I listed some of them there. Okay, and this is always the fun part for our students. Okay, so Master of Public Health. Okay, so 100 to 120 hours as well. So supervised professional experience. Okay, so good option for them to consider, mainly if they're coming from a health background, because the qualifications for this one is they just need a background in health. Okay, so if they're coming from any sort of health background and they want to take up a master's program, public health is usually an option for them to consider. Okay, next, hold on, master social work. So 1,000 hours actually. So this one really requires a lot of field work. And when I was there onshore, actually, and then faculty was having a discussion, they said that social work is a program for students with strong stomachs. Okay. Yeah. This is actually because of course we know social work is within the field of, basically of like the ones being able to give the help, okay, for those in need. Okay, so something they would consider. This is very popular for students with a psychology background. Okay, so if they want to do that one, they can choose to go for this one. Okay, nice. Okay, and then of course, for agents, it would help. For our master's social work, there is a little bit of strictness in the entry requirements. Okay, we only accept students coming from section 1 schools, okay, from here. And of course, if they're coming from a psychology background, they would require the PRC. Okay, so the psychometrician registration. Okay, I mean, hopefully it will change in the future, but I'm not too sure. Okay, but for now, that's that one. Okay, and they need to have specific units in sociology and human behavior. I think on that one, yeah. So we'll just look into the transcript of records and we'll look at it there. Okay, and of course, Bachelor of Laws. We have accreditation, and of course, they will be able to engage in law-related activities during their stay with us. Okay, so I think this is the second to the last, psychological science, of course, accredited as well. And they will have professional placements in multiple organizations in different psychological focuses. Accounting and finance, as mentioned, we are fully accredited, and they will complete 105 hours of supervised work as well. Okay. And then last, oh, this one we don't have commerce anymore. So that will be in business. So yes, professional placement is available to all ACU programs. Okay. So before I talk about the scholarships, I'll just put this one here. What are the services that we can offer our students? Okay, so something I'd like to highlight here is the career planning. Okay, so in the future, when students need advice basically on where to head off in their careers upon graduation, they can get connected to our international students services. Okay, so that's something that they have access to. Okay, and even once they graduate, alumni for 3 years, I think, have the access to these services. Okay, so that'll be good. And everything else there, disability support, international student advisors. So the international student advisors are the one you approach because after, of course, after the first semester, for the next semesters, if the student is considering a payment plan, for them to pay their tuition fees, in a staggered way, or forgot the term. What's that one? Like staggered, like per part, basically, they can request a payment plan from the student advisors. Okay, so at least it's not too heavy on the sponsors to pay one time, right? Yeah, so yeah, they can divide the payments. Okay, so in their counseling, campus ministry, of course, I'm still within the roots and values of a Catholic university, all in there. Okay, so next one. Okay, community engagement. Okay, this was mentioned a while ago. This is also something that they can do. This is also something that they can do overseas, like in our Rome campus. Okay, student testimonials. I don't think I'll be able to play that just yet. And then, so I'm just gonna go through it before I show you guys the scholarships. Okay, so why choose ACU? Of course, everything is in here. Great for their careers. We have great global connections, of course, and we have, the values that we carry coming from our Catholic background as well. Okay, so in there, so maybe I could just reshare. Okay. Okay, so in here, so if you go to our scholarship page, okay, so I think I could just copy it in here and then send it in the chat box. Okay. Nice. Okay, so this is our scholarship page. Okay, so it's all in here. So students from the Philippines have two that they can choose from. Okay, well, not really choose, that they can be eligible in. Okay, so it's the ACU Executive Dean's International Scholarship. Okay, and the ACU International Launch Scholarship. So I'll talk about the Dean International Scholarship first. Okay, so about this one, it's offered to all of our undergrad and postgraduate students, okay, but in specific programs again, but mostly all of them. Okay, so there is actually how they say that, a distribution, I would say a schedule for how the scholarship is being given out. Okay, so here, so if you look at it here, in this part, okay, Faculty of Education and Arts, so that's our teaching, education, and the arts programs, law and business, okay, and this also includes IT, okay. So for the first year, expect to get deducted of like 5%, and in their second and third year, 20%. Okay, so basically the scholarship value will go up higher during their, the longer their stay. And we'll talk about what the requirements are to maintain. Okay, and actually it's not that difficult. Just to maintain the scholarship, they just have to remain enrolled. Okay, so it's something that they have, okay, up until they finish school. So this is for basically the first year. If it's a master's, it's the first and second year. Okay, so again, so faculty in education and arts as well. Okay, for sorry, all of that. All arts, sorry. So all education and teaching, except for the honors and of course masters of coursework. Okay, and for the faculty of science, okay, bachelor's and masters. This one is excluding nursing, okay, because the nursing one is below here. Okay, but basically, if they're coming from the allied health one, occupational therapy, physiotherapy, speech pathology, and master's programs, some of them in dietetic and clinical, and all psychology, postgraduates are not eligible for this one, okay? But don't worry, public health is a part of it, okay? So here, 5% and 15% in the succeeding years. Okay, and of course, lastly, nursing, something to remember, it's 5, 10, 10. Okay, 5% first year, and then second year, third year is 10%. Okay, so let's look at it in here, eligibility. Okay, so eligibility, okay, we have specific citizens that can get the scholarship, and of course, gladly enough, Philippines is one of them. Okay, so available in all of our faculties. Okay, education, arts, law, business, health science. Keep in mind, IT is under business. Okay, under law and business. Okay, so in here. Okay, so it's available in all campuses. Don't worry, again, it doesn't change. Okay, so here, something to remember is the GPA is a 5.5 and a 7-point scale. Okay, so what is the conversion of that to a Filipino grade? Honestly, it's within passing range. Okay, so we're actually making sure that a lot of our students are able to get this scholarship. Okay, so I would say when I spoke to our director, I would say 7 to 8 out of 10 students are qualified for this scholarship. Okay, but I mean, knowing our grading system in the Philippines, I'm sure they're gonna get that one if it's just within passing. Okay, I would say honestly around like 70, 75. Okay, up to 80, all of that. Yes, okay, actually right now, the students who already have offers and have already applied and accepted, their letters will be revised, okay, for them to see the scholarship value that they have. Okay, so all in there. So starting ever since it was launched, if ever you guys have students for application, they will be eligible for this one, and you'll find out if they get the scholarship once you get the offer. Okay, it's going to be stated in there and the breakdown of fees. Okay, yeah, so here in their application process, again, it's automatically assessed. Okay, selection criteria here, ongoing requirements, just remain enrolled, make sure they pay their fees. Okay, and something that they have to remember is when they get the scholarship, they must act as a student ambassador and support promotional activities. Okay, it's not that grueling, just if ever you need like photos, maybe some interviews to be invited in, hopefully they consider. Okay, so that's something that you can look into. Okay, just look into the specific ones here. Again, everyone is eligible except for these ones. Okay, the ones that I highlighted. Nursing has a different um structure. Okay, so lastly, ACU, International Launch and Scholarship. This is for computer science, bachelor's, and the Bachelor of Computer Science to Master of Data Science. Okay, okay, it's basically just given to students who will be commencing. Okay, oh yes, okay, it's semester 1 and 2 for 2026. Okay, and hold on, almost the same actually. They just need to remain enrolled. Okay, and there is no merit in here since it is a launch scholarship. We're giving it away to students who will be enrolling. Okay, cool. So actually, that's it from my end. Okay, so those are our courses, scholarships, and the work integrated learning opportunities that students have. Okay, I'll pass it over to Pao. Thank you.
Okay. Thank
Yeah.
you so much, Jackie. So it's very informative. And before we go to like the some of the information I want to highlight as well, like just to keep you guys reminded. There are a few questions on our Q&A box. I'm s There are others for these questions you've already answered, but
Okay.
with some of the people who just logged in, so we can share it to those. So
Okay.
for the Masters of Teaching, do they need to hold a bachelor degree in education?
Oh, yes. So for early childhood and primary, I would say that one is the most flexible. Okay. So it doesn't really require any teaching background, early childhood. But for secondary, okay, secondary is when it's going to be a little bit stricter because, of course, in secondary, there are specific specialized fields, right? That they have to choose from, like if they want to major in English, all of that. So as much as possible, it's best if they have a teaching background and specific units that could cater to their chosen specialization. Yes. Mm-hmm.
For this second question, it's very like it's on the latter part, but yeah, for Master of
Okay.
IT, do they need to have work experience already in the IT field?
Oh, no, no, no. So
No.
again, any background? Okay, any
Yes.
background. Yes. Oh, and something to highlight, if they have an IT background, 4 units will be credited. Okay, because these 4 units are mainly, like the general subjects, mostly for students who have no background yet. Okay, yes.
But
Mm-hmm.
for those 4 units, Jackie, will it be because other, let's say other what do you call this, applicants, they've already graduated for how many years already? Like more than five
Okay.
years, I'll say. So will it still be credited, the 4 units?
Oh, for that one, if it's been long, I would
Yeah,
say, they could just let us know if they want to not get credited
got
in.
it. Yeah.
Okay. Yes.
Okay.
Okay.
Sure.
Mhm.
And for the last one, for visual arts, although it's very rare, I think, for Filipinos, but
Yes.
for visual arts, do they need to submit any portfolio?
Oh yeah, so that's the fun part. Actually, we don't require a portfolio. Okay, so bachelor students, all welcome to choose a course that they want. So no portfolio. Okay.
Got it. Okay.
Okay.
And okay, actually, this were meant to be part of Kahoot quiz, but for some reason it's not working on my end.
You did
So
mention.
I'll just share the questions here instead.
Okay.
Just maybe just to think of it as a quick points to keep in mind
Okay.
for
Sure,
your
sure.
team and for your potential students, of course. So Jackie mentioned earlier that there are 3 new programs at ACU for 2026. So those are Bachelor of Business, Bachelor of Computer Science, Bachelor
Yes.
of Computer Science package to Master of Data Science. And
Yes.
for the last one, the Bachelor of Computer Science package to Master of Data Science, it would be package of 4 years in total, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
All right. And the percentage of their new 2026 scholarship would be, it would cover 20%.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
And please keep in mind, ACU accept direct entry to all bachelor programs. So
Yes.
they need to have, again, it's not difficult for them to reach that average, like the overall,
Yes.
but definitely they can be accepted directly to bachelor
Yes.
program. And for Master of Social Work, okay, it's only being offered every January. Am I correct, Jackie?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Oh, I did forget to
Okay.
mention that, right?
Yeah.
January.
Because
Okay.
it's for the quiz, supposedly.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
But so yeah, those things. And are there any more questions or clarifications? Jack is here to answer. Please don't be shy. But for those that you don't have in mind right now, and most probably there would be some clarifications and questions as we go through it, or maybe as you counsel your students. So just give me a WhatsApp message or an email. I'll try my best to answer it right away. And for those, any of you guys who wish to have an info session, a webinar, or even a fair or event soon, just let me know. Let's collaborate with ACU. I know reps are very busy, they keep on traveling, but let's, like collaborate on the right schedule for you, your
First,
team, and your potential students, of course. So are
yes.
there any questions? Anyone? Feel free to unmute your mic. It's okay. We're good? Okie dokie. All right, guys. Thank you so much again. This is recorded. You can share it to your team. I'm just not sure when will it be like put up there. So
Okay.
I'll definitely let you know. And again, thank you so much for attending this webinar. Thank you, Jackie. Um, Keep drinking water because I'm sure you have colds because of the
Yes, I need
travel.
to.
But
Yeah.
yeah. So there, thank you so much again, everyone, and have a great day. I'll see you soon.
Yes, okay. Thank you as well for inviting me, Val. Okay. Thank you,
Thanks,
everybody.
Jackie.
Bye.
Bye.